Nadine, thank you so much for being here with me today. I am so excited to have this conversation with you. You guys, Nadine and I have known each other for like 3 years now, which is crazy. And she actually used to be my boss, which is something that's kind of funny. And now we're working together in so many different other ways. And now Nadine has actually been a part of a lot of our programs at the Burnout Prevention Project. And I'm really pumped up because she's joining a peer advisory group starting in June, which is one of the best opportunities. So we're really excited to have her be a part of more things we're doing. So Nadine, with all of that, yeah, welcome. And why don't you just share a little bit more about you?
Yeah, thank you, Grace. Yeah, and I had the honor of meeting Grace through our internship. So I was with Titan Machinery for 11 years as our digital marketing manager, graphic designer, kind of the jack of all trades. And with that, I hired on Grace to be my intern for a full summer and then a little beyond even as she was still going through college. So I've been around Fargo-Moorhead all my life, grew up in West Fargo, and my family is all still here. So I have been married for 12 years and I have two of the cutest little girls ever.
The cutest, yes.
Cutest, yes. They're 9 and 2.5, and they're the reason I have gray hair, but I love them to death. And so I've just, I guess a lot of what Grace and I have kind of connected with, and even a little bit with Kelsey, is our faith and our our connection to what we do for a living as well. And so, yeah, I have done a few of the projects with Grace and Kelsey, and even joined in on the first Breakfasts and Bibles, which was awesome. So
fun.
Excited for the next one. Yeah, I think that's me in a nutshell.
So literally everybody, you should really check out Nadine's kids are actually the cutest kids. I've been looking at all your pictures you post on Facebook, and I am like, they are so cute. I don't understand, but they're so cute. Anyways, that's a side note. But so Nadine, I know you're kind of going through this big transition in your life right now. And yeah, like you said, you were at Titan Machinery for 11 years, and now you recently just started a new position.
Yes.
Could you just tell us, a little bit more about that? And
Yeah.
I'm interested to know, like, how did you know that it was the right time to leave after being somewhere for 11 years?
Yeah, so having been with Titan for 11 years, I enjoyed what I did. So I did a lot of our digital marketing, and I knew that was something that I loved to do. And really last year, 2021, was kind of one of the toughest years I've ever had to live through, with my mom getting sick and taking care of my mom. And I gave all of myself to everybody else. And a big chunk of that was to my job. And so I kind of decided that maybe I needed something new. I needed a new connection, new network of people. And that's really when I reached out to Grace and Kelsey, and I went to that goal setting summit in January. And that really lit a spark in me, like, what am I doing here? I don't really have a big network of people that I can reach out to. So where do I even begin? And it turned out a recruiter actually called me, which happens occasionally. And this time I was actually willing to listen and take the next steps with More Holding Company. So that's where I just started a whole 3 weeks ago, or this is week 3, I guess. So and once I met and went through that interview process, I could just feel that it was going to be a totally different work style, workplace. And that was really intriguing to me because I had been with Titan for a very long time, and I didn't feel like I could be strategic and really use all of my my full energy in that position. I loved my team. I have some of the best teammates. I got to build one of the most awesome teams in all the time that I've worked. So it was really hard to make that decision, but knowing professionally where was my next step, I knew it wasn't going to be with Titan. And so moving on to More Holding Company really digging in deep. They really haven't had a digital anything in all of the time that More Engineering and More Holding Company have been around. So it's been an interesting couple weeks just getting my feet wet and kind of getting everything discovered, which is also a big part of me. It's really, I love that strategic thinking, like how can we make this better? What can we do to improve upon this? And so I'm always a work in progress, and I love a job that challenges me to learn and grow.
Mm-hmm. Well, and obviously a job transition and even leaving somewhere, I mean, especially when you've been there for, I mean, that amount of time, it's scary because it's like, okay, you're leaving something that's good for the hope that something's even better.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just the fear that could really hold us back. And so I think that's why some people stay in jobs for longer than they really should, because they're afraid of the unknown. So, how did you really lean into your faith during this time? And like, how was that a part of your decision making?
Oh, I prayed every single day. One of the things that I started in 2021, or excuse me, 2022, just to kind of regroup myself, was doing a daily devotional. And I really leaned into that, and I really read scripture every day to kind of go, okay, this is going to be the right thing. It's really one of the first times I've really felt God's major pull on me to do the hard thing, to do that scary thing. And I had a meeting with Kelsey, and she gave me this little worksheet of like, what are you doing? What do you want to do? And, I went through that little worksheet and I looked at it and I thought, why not? Am I running to something better, or running away from something? And I didn't feel like I was running away from something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my devotional, a ton of praying, just asking my husband if I think this is going to be the right thing. It was a ton of unknown, like you said. But it was really one of those times I felt like, yeah, this is going to be a good move for me. If not, God's got my hands, so he's going to take me to the next step. So yeah, it was a big pull for me.
Mm-hmm. I like how you say that. I mean, God has your hands into the next step. Even if this wasn't going to be something that was the best decision, that either way, because you have faith, that either way he's going to guide you in the right direction, no matter what. Yeah, that's so good. And I think also, just starting your daily devotional and reading scripture every day, you're immersing yourself into the word and into the truth. And so God he always does little things where he puts little lights in your life where it's kind of, okay, I hear you, I see you, but it's not until you actually give yourself that intentional time to let that happen. Because it's really easy for that just to slide by because you're not intentionally learning or asking God to show you. And I think that's something we have to remember, like we have to ask God. He's not just gonna give you little things. Like you have to say, you know what, please show me, because he will show you.
Yeah. And I've always been a faithful person, but really in this last year, really reading and getting into a devotional. And now I've even started doing just little Bible studies where I get into little parts of the Bible and figure out how those really feel to me. It's been a completely different mindset for me as far as like what comes first. Well, one of the first things I do when I get to work is I read that one little devotional and I write my thoughts down, and that act of devotion and journaling has really, really opened up my mind to a lot of new things. Things that I don't even remember being in the Bible, like they pull out and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Well, I feel like there's a theme that we talk about a lot in this podcast, is the idea of, you said how it means to you. Like, how does this scripture or how does this devotion, what does it mean to you? And I think that's like a topic that keeps coming up, and it's so interesting because, when you think of your faith journey, like everyone actually has such a different faith journey, and everything means so many different things to people. And so I think that's such a good reminder that like, this is your journey, and this is my journey, this is your journey. And it's going to look so different for everybody around us.
Yeah.
but not put that pressure on, well, this works for you. I should do this daily devotion every single morning because this works for you, but so it's going to work for me. And like, that's not how it works.
Mm-mm.
And so I think like, even like you said, I mean, you've tried different things and you've grown because you've had to like try different things and even these
Yep.
studies and yeah, it's so good. Well, okay. So you mentioned, okay, you said you get to work every morning and do this devotion. How else? I mean, how is that working? Like, how do you find yourself? Do you stick to it every single day? What if you don't? How have you really put that into your life? And how else are you incorporating faith into your work day?
Yeah. So I'm going to be honest. No, I don't get to it every day. It is a plan, but I've also realized I can't hold it against myself, right? Like this is something I've set forth, but sometimes when you get into work, you're running behind because if anybody's got children, they know leaving the house is like a 10-step process, maybe 30 on some days. And so I don't get to work right on time and then I end up in a meeting or something like that. And if I can, I'll sneak it in some other time in the day. And if I don't hold it against myself either. Because the journal and devotional that I've been working through is grace and gratitude. So giving myself some grace when I don't get it done. And then just be thankful. I can still pray. I can still do those little things that help me through the day. And so as far as incorporating my faith into the workspace, it's one of those things that not a lot of people want to talk about, but I'm not one to hide it. So in my little cubicle, in my shrine to my children, I have some of my favorite Bible verses that are framed or like just sitting right there with it, like praise God from whom all blessings flow. He'll lead you to it. If he leads you to it, he'll guide you through it. And so some of those things that every day I look at them and I'm like, yep, he's going to get me through this. And it's interesting because after I went to breakfast and Bibles, a couple of my coworkers were like, whoa, what was that? I'd really like to go. Well, then it like opens up that conversation of, oh, you're a faithful person too, because you don't want to like infringe upon people at the same time. But yeah, I lead with my faith. I'm not afraid to wear my faithful t-shirts around. My newest favorite is it says worrier, 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 warrior. So
yeah,
going from a worrier to a warrior is really important for me because that's probably my biggest thing is I worry about things I can't control. So just stop and take a deep breath. So yeah, I'm not afraid to show it. I just don't outwardly like ask people, if that makes sense. I kind of leave it so that they can ask me.
Yeah. Well, it's also giving the little signs, like you said, like wearing shirts like that. And I talked about this in a different episode and how, I think especially as women, we are lucky because we can wear jewelry and we can do all these things. I mean, like men can too, but like, you know what I mean? But like I wear my miraculous medal because so I leads people to ask me questions about it. So it's amazing that you're so open about it. And I think a lot of people can learn from that because it's scary if you've never really been open about your faith or talked about it with people around you. But so you've worked in the corporate America for, I guess, all your positions. I don't know how many of your positions have been corporate, but
pretty much.
Yeah. So I think, and I've had a lot of conversations with people about the whole, well, I can't talk about it at work. We don't talk about things like that because it's just this unsaid thing that, it will be offensive to other people. So, okay, 100%, I get it. But what can we do? I mean, obviously, like, what have you seen? And it's a challenge. And I know you said you don't like just reach out to people and talk about it, but how can we really work on making that, like closing that gap a little bit between faith and work and all of these things that are supposed to flow so well together, but don't?
It's interesting because I've often thought about, we always talk about work-life balance. Well, what's the difference between work-faith balance, right? Like why do we have to hide that we're faithful people? And faith looks different to everybody, right? It's not that, oh, I go to church every Sunday, therefore I'm a faithful person. It's all very different. When you come up to my computer, if you pulled my headphones out, I'd be listening to Christian music on my
Mhm.
headset, right? So all of those little things, I don't know what the big, this is going to solve all the problems,
Yeah.
right? But I think it's almost more interesting to see, like as coworkers get used to each other and know each other, that we are comfortable talking about it, right? And so my direct team now, I feel like I can actually talk to them about that because they happen to see something or saw something on social media and they're like, oh, good. Whew, Nadine's a faithful person. We can
Yeah.
talk to her about that. So I think it's very interesting how that connection starts. And so I think the more that we talk about it, show it, and be it, it will become an easier thing.
Mhm. Yeah, you're so right. The more we talk about and show it and be it. And I
Yeah.
really like what you said about, so yeah, there's this work-life balance. And I honestly, we really don't like that term because there's no such thing as everyone's looks so different. So, and it's just
Yep.
like, doesn't make sense. But
Mhm.
anyways, like you said, like, yeah, what's the difference between work-faith balance?
Mhm.
Like it's just so, we don't like, that's not a thing people talk about. But,
Mhm.
and I think too, just talking about your shirt that says worry, worry, worrier, warrior. Like if you're like, the more that we worry about people knowing this part of our lives, like turn
Yep.
that into being a warrior for God and just like wanting to show his glory, because if you truly believe that he is all good and everything about him is amazing, like why wouldn't you want to share that with the people around you?
Exactly.
And
Yep.
I just keep going back, and every time I have this conversation with people, I think, you know, what, like, could you imagine, like, can you imagine like who you could actually impact? What if there's somebody that just needs to hear some truth in their life, needs to hear some good, and by us not sharing, like we're actually doing them a disservice. And so
Yep.
I like truly, yeah, just being so open and sharing, like you never know who you could reach.
Exactly. And I think that's so one of the things that I like to do, and I think I told you about this before, but the little so I sell Mary and Martha
Mm.
products, and they have all kinds of great little shareables and things like tear behinds or put them in little cards. I still believe in the art of a card and
Yes.
writing little notes to people. And so I often stick those under the desks or under the keyboards of some of my coworkers. I did at Titan anyway, of like,
Mhm.
you needed to see this, you needed to know this, you are going to get through whatever is happening. Even if you're a non-believer, just reading that has to impact you in some way. And
Mhm.
so whether you take it and decide to change your whole life or just take it and go, yeah, that really was something I needed to hear or needed to
Mhm.
do at that time. So
Mhm. Mm. I didn't know, like, that's such a cool thing that you do, because I mean, I hate to be like, what do you have to lose? You know what I mean? But like just sharing, because really, like, like we think God always provides, and it's like, why would he ever lead a conversation that would hurt you or make
yep,
anything bad? And so really, like, what do you have to lose about sharing your
yep.
belief?
And it's always, for me, it was always when someone was going through something tough. Maybe they lost somebody or something like that.
Mhm.
And just those few little words of encouragement. I lost my dad almost 4 years ago now, and it was a complete sudden thing,
Mhm.
massive heart attack, and he was gone. And you know, everybody who shared a thought and just a little bit of anything with me at that point still stands out to me.
Mhm.
And he owned a trophy shop in North Fargo, and I have met some of his customers after being there,
Mhm.
and some of them, literally, I was there for a week, and I think I just hugged people when they walked in because they were all, just as shocked as we were. But some of those people have led me to a whole different thought process about death, right?
Mhm.
And that was that was a dark time when I was like, how could this happen to my dad? And the more that I read, the more that I think, no, I think it's meant to be. Like he was called, that was his
Mhm,
time. And while I hate it, I also know that, he still lives on through me,
mhm,
and all of us. So
mhm,
um, knowing that each little word people said to me that week and a half, um, it was really important for me now to be like, yeah, I
mhm,
need to share with people that it is going to be okay. It's
mhm,
miserable. It's ugly. It's
mhm,
not fun,
mhm.
but people are there for you.
Yeah.
And so that's what's really important for me
Mhm.
too.
Well, and I think that's so cool because everyone will go through something like that in their life. Like everybody will. Like whether we like to
Mhm.
believe it or not, we could pretend that everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows, but it's not.
It's
But
not.
everyone is going to have the time when they need somebody to be there for them and need someone to do the little things. Like the fact that you can just like be there for those people now because you did have that time already happen to you. So now like,
Mhm.
what, it does get better. Like it's
Yep.
not easy, but it does get better. But here's like, I'm praying for you, and here's like a little bit of light.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
and I think like you said, just all the little things just go so much farther. And like I don't know, sometimes I think we think about faith, it has to be this big,
Oh, I
elaborate
know. Yep.
conversation, and has to be all these things when you're talking to these people at work, but it's like, oh, what about just the little things? Like, hey,
Mhm.
hope you have a good day, like God bless.
Yep.
There you go. You know.
Yep.
Mm, yeah. Well, I kind of want to ask you one more question, Nadine, and it's about
Yeah.
just because I've gotten to know like a little bit more your heart and how things are going for you this year. And I know you said 2021, just beginning of 2022 has been a complete like life change for you. And um, I know you've been just the biggest giver, and like if anyone that knows you just knows like, or you just do everything for everybody else. And like as much as that's amazing, I think you've really been working on, okay, what do I want? Like, what is this like for me? How can I take care of myself? Because it's kind of time for that.
It's
Um,
time. Yep.
Tell us more a little bit like why it's really important for you. Like, how did that transition happen? And how was that like flipping from being this giver and doing everything for everybody else to now, okay, now it's my turn? And like, how have you navigated that whole thing?
Well, I'm always a work in progress, but you know, I just I ended 2020 2021 just exhausted. Like I
Mm,
was tired, everything hurt. It was one of those things when I look back and I thought, what did I do this year? And I didn't have anything for
mm,
me to say, yeah, look what I did. And not that I need glory or anything like that, but at the end of the year, I'd like to say, oh, I at
mm,
least read a book. I didn't even do that last year. It was like a lot of things changed. And so, um, it was really uh, a, a bunch of people that I talked with that were like, you need boundaries. Like, set those up and keep those and do things for you. And I've heard that for years because I'm somebody who just is a giver and I give. And it was finally like it clicked and I was like, yeah, I do need to make sure I have clear boundaries with my kids when I'm going to be plugged in and when I'm not, and when I'm going to go out and have drinks with my girlfriends, because gall
mhm.
darn it, mom needs that too.
Absolutely.
And then, it was another big part of it is my mom's health. So my mom's health took a big toll on me in 2021 between many doctor's appointments. And, I think it was really important for me to look back and go, okay, how can I manage this better and still manage myself? And so two of my big goals were to start reading a little bit each day. I already finished one book and I'm almost done with two for the year, which is
Mhm,
more than I did in 2021.
mhm. Awesome.
And another thing that I did was I started doing massage like every 2 weeks just
Mm,
to relax my body and give myself that 1 hour of time that I didn't care what anything else was happening. Turn off my phone and just relax. And that's been life changing for me too, both physically and mentally too. It's
mm,
just like that's my time.
Yeah.
And then the devotional is my other big one. So I'm on to my second devotional now for the year, which is a good thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's just being intentional with my time. A lot of it too is if something's not filling me up and making me happy and really advancing me as a human, I've started to say no.
Mhm.
And that's a big thank you to you and Kelsey and the resilience multiplier and teaching me how to say no.
Oh, I love it.
And it was just one of those things. Like I look at it and I'm like, well, I've just always done it.
Mhm.
Well, I don't always have to do it. Just because I've done it doesn't mean I have to do it. So there's definitely some movements in my free time now with things that I've kind of cut out a little bit just
Mhm.
to help make that time where I can snuggle up with my girls on the couch every day and
Mhm.
read a book or watch a movie or whatever it might be.
Mhm. It really all is like you said, setting boundaries and saying no. We talk a lot about like what deserves your best yes. And I know we've had this conversation so many times, like what really deserves your best yes. And um, I there's the quote that we always bring up, and it's like the most loving thing you can do for those around you is to love yourself and take care of yourself. And so if you aren't doing that, everything falls to the wayside. So and that's just like if you're not loving yourself, if you're not taking time to work on your faith, to work
Mhm.
on like your career, everything. If you're not taking that time to do the things that fill you up and make you a better person, how are you able to best be this, person for everybody else you're trying to serve?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's been so fun seeing you. Just like all the things you've accomplished, loved, we've loved it. And it's just it I think like I like it's almost like I don't want to be like your success story, but like you know what I mean? Like it works. It works like putting boundaries and it does help. And I think it's just so important that we remember like don't give up even though it's really, really hard because I'm guessing you can attest to this. It probably wasn't easy and you're probably still struggling every single day with saying no.
Yeah. It's a struggle to say no, but knowing the Nadine that I was in January to the Nadine I am today,
Mhm.
it's very different. Um, and yes, I do feel like it's been a success, but it's still a work in progress. Like you said, I'm still a captain. Yeah. Oh, wait, let me think about that, right? I'm going to say
Yeah.
yes, but let me think because that might not be the best thing for me.
Mhm.
How much time is it going to take? Am I actually going to learn anything from it? That's a big
Mhm.
one for me because I'm I'm number one learner, right? I
Right.
like to learn things.
Mhm.
And if it's just that they need me because I know how to do it, that's not a big yes in my world
Mhm.
anymore. So
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, it's so cool. It's just like and we always talk, it's like it's scary to say no to things because you're like, oh, am I gonna be missing out? But at the same time, like there's so much power in saying no, but like there's so much beauty in it too.
yeah,
And just once you actually align with your values and who you truly are and who truly God is calling you to be and who
yep,
he knows you are. That was a lot of words, but you know what I mean?
yep,
Like it just all aligns
yep,
uh,
it does.
so beautifully. So well, this has been so amazing, Nadine, and I just truly thank you for this conversation. But before we all completely wrap up, as
Yeah.
all of you know, I have to ask what your favorite Bible verse is and what it means to you.
Yeah. So this actually came from one of the scripture cards that I have.
Mm,
So the front of it says, "You've got this, and God's got you." It's Philippians
mm,
1:6. So God, who began the good work within you, will continue his work until it's finally finished.
mm,
And so, kind of like I've talked about, is I'm not finished. I'm not done. But I know that God's hand is leading me in the right direction.
mhm,
And so there's a lot to be learned. And within that, I think God will show me the path and continue to work within me. So
mhm. Oh, he's got you,
that's my
right?
favorite. Yeah.
Mm. And it's just so important to never lose sight of that either. And I think that yeah. I mean, everything we talked about, I mean, you've obviously been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. And like just having that at the forefront. And I think just like starting the habit of prayer and starting the habit of your devotion and all these things, like just the constant reminder of he does have us. And no matter what, even if we fail, whatever failure if that's even a thing. We never truly fail, but
Right.
at these things, like, it's fine. Like, you've
Mhm.
got it and God's got it. Like, you can always get back on track, and he's always just waiting there for you anyways. So,
Yep, exactly.
so good.
Exactly.
Well, this is so great. And before we wrap, I also want to invite all of you to our next Breakfast in Bibles, which is what Nadine mentioned at the beginning. We're hosting an event called Breakfast in Bibles, and it's just to bridge that gap between faith and work and life, because there's this gap that like we chatted about that's there, and we're trying to get rid of that. And so on July 29th is our next one. So really excited. If you want to come meet Nadine, she'll be there. So come meet her and come check it out and see what it's all about. So we'll link that in the show notes, and I'll also link Nadine's LinkedIn profile so you can connect with her, learn more about her. And I'll also put a little link to our women's retreat we are hosting in June. I think Nadine's going to be there too. So
Yeah.
just come meet her. Just come meet her. But she'll be there. And that's just a retreat to really figure out, let's just reset, restart. It's June. We've all fallen to the wayside in what we really have wanted. And so let's just like realign with what we want and our goals. So join us for that. Join us for Breakfast in Bibles in July, and connect with Nadine and learn more about her. So
Thanks, Grace.
yes, absolutely. Thanks for being here with us, Nadine.
You bet.